With the introduction of AO4 Strongest Team, we were not only introduced to Shadow Paladin, but also Murakumo, where they gave us not one, but two interesting boss monsters to build a deck around. With today's focus on Mandala Lord. Stand up! Vanguard! Hey cardfighters, today we're looking at Mandala Lord and the interesting archetype it brings to Standard. Mandala Lord's whole focus is around copying multiple units to the field, and they have unique support unit cards in the deck that allows you to have multiple units with the same name to have easier access to copying units to the field. This mechanic allows you to have easier access to multi-attacks without dedicating a lot of resources to your hand, because you're calling from deck. Unlike the other archetypes Zanbaku that focus more on stalling the game and not allowing your opponent to have any kind of resources, this archetype more focuses around a more aggressive centered playstyle where you attack right out of the get-go with multiple attacks and superior calling units basically from turn 1. But enough jib-jabbering about the deck. You're interested in the deck profile, the deck list, and all the crazy things you can do with the deck. So, as usual, you can check out one of these points in the video if you're interested in a certain topic. And otherwise, just tag along if you're interested in the deck list. And yeah, without further ado, let's jump right into this deck profile. In this Murakumo deck list, we run 8 grade 3s, 11 grade 2s, 14 grade 1s, and 17 grade 0s. We run 4 copies of Covert Demonic Dragon Mandala Lord. He's the boss monster of this deck and he allows us to have easy access to the copy abilities and other power-up effects with the other grade 2s and 1 support card for Mandala Lord. For the other grade 3, we run 4 copies of Twinswordsman MUSASHI. He's a great attacker that allows us to destroy our opponent's hand because they need to waste more guard cards against this unit's attacks. For grade 2s, we run 4 copies of Switch Archer Fushimi. He's just a good attacker, but his other skill helps us to attack their back rows when they get a defense trigger, and then we just can kill one of their other units if we cannot hit the Vanguard anymore. So our attacks will still have some effect in the game. Our other grade 2 is 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Imitation Mandala. He's a great support card for Mandala because he has the same name in deck, and this allows us to have stronger upsets for our field and also more targets for our multi-copy effects. And for the grade 2s, we run 3 copies of Stealth Beast Bloody Mist. He's just another unit that helps us to copy more cards on the field, but also because he can superior call himself to the field, helps us to filter the deck with allowing us to have higher chance to hit more triggers. For grade 1s, we run 4 copies of Stealth Rogue of Silence Shiiimamaru. He's a great booster that allows us to give more power away to our other Mandala units if they have all the same name, because our grade 1, 2 entries all can have Mandala Lord as a name. So it allows us to put the power on multiple units separated on the field. We also run 4 copies of Stealth Dragon Turbulent Edge. He's the grade 1 support card for Mandala Lord, so that's an obvious include. We run 3 copies of Stealth Dragon Amatsu Snipe. A great 12k attacker that can basically hit almost everything, and we basically always have superior call something each turn, so it would be a 12k booster or attacker every turn. Great card. And lastly, we run 3 copies of Cornered Stealth Rogue Benijishi. This is a new promo that just got introduced to Vanguard, and this one allows us to force our opponents to make ineffective guard patterns against our field, because they cannot easily perfect guard our Vanguard when we power up it to a high number, and they need to waste it on lower rear guards or something like Musashi that can also deny them even more cards from hand. So this allows us to have a more nasty kind of setup. For grade 0s, we have of course our starter, and for a trigger lineup we run 8 fronts, 4 crits and 4 heals, making a total of 8 grade 3s, 11 grade 2s, 14 grade 1s and 17 grade 0s. This deck has almost endless possible combos by combining Mandala Lord's skill with the other units. We could call out another Musashi to have an extra painful guard attacks. You can call out extra Fushimis to annihilate their field, or more Benijishis to lock down their PGs during your Vanguard attacks. But I will highlight 2 of my favorite combos you can do with this deck: Shadow Clone Formation and Infinite Shadow Pursuit. First we have the Shadow Clone Formation. For this combo we need to have the following cards on hand: plus 1 extra for Mandala's skill and at least 1 Imitation Mandala on the field. We will ride a new Mandala Lord and gain our second Accel circle. Then we use Mandala Lord's skill to call the 2 new Imitate Mandalas to the right rearguard circles to have this scenario with the 2 on the Accel circles and 1 behind the Vanguard. We call all the other cards to the field, and then we use Turbulent Edge skill to give all Mandala's cards plus 3k. Then we use Mandala Lord's skill to give all Mandala Lords another plus 3k. We will attack first with Musashi without a boost if we're convinced that they will perfect guard our Vanguard. Then we attack with our Vanguard for 33k attack. If they perfect guard that, then use Benijishi's skill to call a new Imitation or Mandala Lord to the circle with the rested Musashi. Then attack with your Turbulent Edge and use Shiiimamaru's skill to give both Imitation Mandalas on the Accel circles plus 3k. Then attack with both Imitation Mandala Lords for a final of 2 28k attacks. We attacked a total of 6 times, where the first attack was 17k, then a 33k Vanguard attack, then a 70k attack, then a 21k attack, and finally 2 28k attack from the Accel circles. And that's without counting that we possibly could get a front trigger of one of our 8 front triggers in our deck. If we got one, that would mean that we power up our 5 other attacks to a potential of 43, 27, 31, 38, 38. And if we got 2 front triggers, if we're very lucky, it will go to 53, 37, 41, 48, 48. Well, you can see that that will gain a lot of pressure against your opponent. We also have our Infinite Shadow Pursuit combo. This one relies on Benijishi and it works well against Protect lands. Once again, we power up our center line, but this time we can do it with Amatsu Snipe. We can use Mandala Lord's skill to call extra Benijishis to the field if necessary. If we have 3 Benijishis on the field, we can place them on the Accel circles to attack with them, and when our opponent's perfect guards our Vanguard, we can then resolve all the Benijishi skills to get another 3 extra attacks by calling more Mandala Lords or Imitate Mandala to the same Accel circles. This way we can multi-attack and do some deck thinning at the same time. This combo works very well with Mandala Lord because we have 8 cards with the same name in deck. And we can cycle these cards every turn back to back into our deck when we Soul Blast them or when they are retired. And the crazy part about this combo is that you can basically do it every turn. One Benijishi stays on the field and every turn you can call over the rested Mandala, and with the second one you send it back to the deck and immediately call them. You can even combine the 2 combos together to form the Infinite Shadow Pursuit formation. Change one Turbulent Edge to a Benijishi and you can call 2 extra attacks, and instead of attacking first with Musashi, you attack first with the both Imitate Mandala and then attack with the Vanguard. Perfect guard is placed, call 2 Imitate Mandalas on the same Accel circles or Mandala Lord depending on your situation. Resource management in this deck is completely different than in most decks. Yes, we have the 3 cards that use Counterblast and those 2 also use Soul, but as you can see that isn't a lot, and we're mainly are using a maximum of 2 Counterblasts in our ultimate combo. And even though Murakumo doesn't have any countercharge options, that won't be an issue for most matches. But this deck revolves around another resource, namely our units in deck. We need to keep track of how many copies we have of a certain card to know if we're able to call them. Bloody Mist can only call himself, and with Mandala Lord we can call 2 units that are already present on the field. And in deck we have Imitation Mandala Lord that function as a Mandala Lord, so to be able to create the best kind of plays, we need to be aware of the remaining units in deck. We have one card, namely Cornered Stealth Rogue Benijishi, that function as a refiller of units, a cycle card so to say. This card is especially effective in later stages of the game when they need to guard your Vanguard or when you start to run out of resources. Alright, this is usually the part where I go over the different kind of strategies you can use while playing this deck. However, this deck has only one overarching playstyle, and that is attack. But granted, there are some things you can keep in mind while playing different kinds of opponents. Because this is an aggro heavy deck, you don't want to be drawn in a prolonged stalled game. That's why we focus on Cornered Stealth Rogue Benijishi for your protect matchups. And 1 copy in the field against Force won't hurt either. Speaking of Force, go for the Shadow Clone formation for a killing blow and make good use of Musashi. That one can do a lot of work against lower hand size of most Force users. Musashi is also very effective against other Accel clans because as a 17k attacker it will always cost 2 cards from their hand or 2 interceptors. Against other Accel clans you maybe want to also attack some rearguards because you can't always have the upper hand in aggro department, but you will have it in the long run because you can keep rewriting and superior call more rearguards to outtempo them. Musashi is a great card for depleting your opponent's hand size, and against Accel and Protect you usually can slam this thing on the board and it does its magic because even if they intercept with the rearguards, they need to have 2 to guard against it. But in the case of a Force clan, or if an Accel or Protect clan has a 10k interceptor, you might want to attack that unit first because they can guard your Musashi with basically 1 card that's already on the field. And if you force them to guard from hand, you can potentially force 2 triggers from hand. FUSHIMI is a great card that hits on its own, but also gives you a consistent pressure option when your opponent gets a trigger. Use this effect on units that would not hit in the case of a damage trigger, That case you can potentially snipe back row rearguard, or maybe another card if they decide to guard it. Either way, it's a win-win situation. Same as strategies, there aren't a lot of other options that I recommend. The grade 2 and 3 lineup is currently as it is. You can maybe experiment with the grade 1 lineup, changing the amount of certain guards or run normal perfect guards if you're not comfortable running a deck without them. I don't recommend running drop perfect guards because of 2 reasons. 1. Getting them instead of a front trigger or crit trigger is an immense difference in effective pressure. And as I stated before, you want to win as fast as possible. And second, you increase the chance of drawing your pieces that you actually want to have in your deck, because the deck works around superior calling units from the deck. What I do encourage to change is instead of running heal triggers, just go balls to the walls and run 8 crit, 8 front. For this video I left the heals in because you have to make it to your second grade 3 turn, so maybe no heals is stretching it a bit far, but I'm definitely trying it out without heals on the day of release. So this Murakumo deck focuses completely around Mandala Lord. It's a highly aggressive deck that doesn't run any high defense option and revolves around out-temping your opponent by superior calling units from the deck. We can use Musashi and Benijishi to deny our opponent to use an effective guard pattern, but the only downside to this deck is that it's highly vulnerable against high pressure columns or against good control that keeps destroying our field. And with that we covered everything about this first Murakumo deck profile. And yes, I said first because there's the second one coming right up with the focus more on Zanbaku. Let me know what you guys think of this Murakumo deck profile in the comments down below. And if you like this video or the other content on this channel, then why not subscribe to the channel and hitting the bell button down below to be updated for the new videos. And of course the upcoming deck profiles of Strongest Team, AL4, and the other Vanguard related content. Well, as always, I'm Mr. Time Leap and I see you guys in the next one.